everyone, and welcome to this special EdTalks episode Beyond CELTA Breaking the Myths. I'm Harima Arif, and today we're bringing together a truly global panel of CELTA tutors, recruiters, and graduates to bust some common myths about CELTA certification and to tell you the real deal about the careers after the CELTA. Quick reminder for everyone, our speakers will keep their answers short and focused, and we'll try to hear from as many voices as possible. We'll also take a few audience questions towards the end, so stay tuned. We're live on Facebook, and you can write your questions there in the comment section, and you can also write your questions in the chat box. We'll try to address as many questions as possible. So let's jump straight in. First, we're tackling the myths about CELTA course itself, especially the ongoing debate about online versus face-to-face versus blended. But before we get into it, and then we're going to talk about what life after CELTA is, how you're going to get your jobs, what the real job prospects are, and so on and so forth. We're going to hear some real stories from our panelists as well. We're going to talk about our online CELTA graduates really at a disadvantage, our blended CELTA graduates at a disadvantage. We're going to hear from our recruiters, from our graduates who are working across the Gulf and beyond. And like I said, finally, life after CELTA. What's the career path really like? How are you going to get your job? What kind of hurdles you're going to face? And what kind of interviews you're going to get into. So we're going to talk about that. Let's very quickly introduce our panel. So first of all, let's talk about our CELTA tutors, because that's who you're going to come across first. So we have Amy Daniels from Sri Lanka. Welcome, Amy. And then we have Christina Nicolaou. She's at the moment based in Lebanon, but she works as a CELTA tutor, as a freelancer across the globe. Hello, Christina.
Hi, Harry.
Then we have Gerald Back. And Gerald is based in UK at the moment. But
Hello.
like Christina, he works across the globe, like most CELTA tutors. And then we have Bjarne Wonslet, and he's in Portugal at the moment. But again, like Amy and Christina, Gerald, he works around the globe. He's also one of our CELTA tutors and assessors like Gerald. And we have Sandy Thompson. She's also a CELTA tutor and a CELTA assessor, and she's also the head of department in a university in Qatar. So she'd also be able to talk about what recruitment is like and what job prospects are like after CELTA. Then let's talk about some of our recruiters. We have Hina Salim. She's working in Kuwait, and she's heading a school called CELT over there. Welcome, Hina. Thank you for joining us today. And then we have Anas Kabani. He's working in Qatar as head of hiring in a university. We also have Keith Hoodless, who is working in the UK, and he's been into recruitment for quite some time now. Welcome, Dr. Keith Hoodless.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. We also have Salima, who can share some insights about what job prospects are in Qatar and elsewhere. Then we have a lot of CELTA graduates who can share their own stories and what it's like. A lot of people are like, Pakistan, I'm not so sure we get jobs in Pakistan after CELTA. So let's start with people who are in Pakistan at the moment. So we have Laiba Brar. She's working in Pakistan. Welcome, Laiba. And then we have Mohammed Ehsan Shahab. Thank you so much for joining us from Karachi. We also have from Karachi, Munir Tarwani, who's working in Al Khan University in the procurement department, I suppose, or teaching and learning. Yeah, teaching and learning.
Teaching and learning, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Faiz Alam as well. He's also working in Pakistan at the moment. And let's move on. Beyond, we have Hafsa Moazzam. She's working in Saudi Arabia. We have Mariam Khalid, who is working in Japan at the moment. We have Tufa Najib, who is working in Dubai, in UAE at the moment. A lot of questions about UAE, a lot of questions about Dubai. We also have, who am I missing? Um, so yeah. Um, am I missing somebody? I'm really sorry, but I think, and we have Sadaf Iftikhar. I'm really, really sorry. She's working in Saudi Arabia at at the moment. And if I've missed someone, I shouldn't have missed Sadaf, but thank you so much for joining us. We have Mohammed Umar. He's working in the UK. So there are a lot of people who are interested in working in the UK and going to the UK. So here's your chance to ask him. And you can also ask Dr. Keith about what life is like in the UK if you've done a CELTA. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today and being part of this discussion. So before we head to the audience question and answer session, let's do a very quick fire round. And let's talk about, firstly, there's a lot of debate going on about the online versus blended versus face-to-face CELTA. And just recently, a lady called me and she was very interested in the CELTA course and she wanted to work in Dubai. So that question goes directly to you, Atufa. And she said that she's not going to get a teaching license. Is that true? Because as far as I know, you just got your teaching license a week ago.
Hi. First of all, is I'm in Ras Al Khaimah. Dubai is like 40,
Yeah,
50 minutes away from here.
right.
So actually the thing is that it's just a myth. You can get your teaching license easily, even if you have done online CELTA. What matters is that it is done by the authentic center, and we know that we only have the registered Cambridge assessment centers. So if you are doing it, it doesn't matter whether it's blended online or face to face. What matters is that your degree is real, the certificate which you get is real. And while getting and going through the process of transition license, because once you cannot get the license directly, first you have to clear your exams. Before you clear your exam, you have to get the transitional license, which is based on your degrees, which are authentic, certified and verified both by Ministry of Pakistan, Ministry of UAE, along with the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan and UAE, both. If all of these four institute, they verify your degrees and documents, then you can easily get the transitional license, and then you are eligible to apply for the permanent license. And then you appear in exam one, which is specialization, and then exam two, which is pedagogy. So basically, it's a very long, rigorous documentation process. So it's really a myth, to be very honest, that you cannot get it with online CELTA, because you can get it. What matters is that you are practicing those things and documents are real. So I don't see any problem in getting any degree or license because you have got online CELTA.
Thank you so much for sharing this. So why do we have all of this debate going on about online CELTAs and blended CELTAs and face-to-face CELTAs? So all the recruiters that we have in the panel, do you really, once somebody comes and an application comes in, do you really ask if they have an online CELTA or a face-to-face CELTA, or when do you consider that, or how does that work?
Not at all. The idea that somebody has a CELTA is enough of an issue in itself, because the CELTA is such a well-known worldwide global qualification. People are scared these days of change, and when we start talking artificial intelligence, the it's something that Tuva just alluded to. Then the idea that somebody could get this online also shakes the hand a little bit of did they do it themselves, or was it artificially intelligence induced? And what people don't understand is with the CELTA is a recognised qualification, and it all boils down to the method of assessment. And the CELTA is the gold standard. So if you have a CELTA qualification, it makes no difference how you've got it because it will be attested by Cambridge, and that is a badge of quality. So you never ask if somebody presents with a CELTA, you would never normally say, "How did you do this?" Because it makes not one bit of a difference.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Keith. What do you have to say about it, Anas? What's it like in
So, yeah, I totally agree with Keith. Actually, I am the chair of the hiring committee at a college here in Qatar. And when we screen CVs, we see the CELTA qualification. I mean, people don't usually write whether it's been obtained face-to-face or online, but that doesn't really matter to us. When we look at candidate's profile, the question that we really try to figure out is that if they've really internalized the methodology, if they've acquired the practical teaching skills, if they've learned, if they actually know how to teach, and so that's in that screening process. We can usually tell more about that in the actual interview. So we've interviewed people who have CELTA, and probably those candidates have done CELTA face to face, but I can tell you they didn't perform well at all in interviews, and vice versa. I mean, we just recently interviewed a candidate who we could tell that they submitted a CELTA lesson plan, which for a panel, for us, it was fine. I mean, as long as the candidate, we thought if he was able or is able to justify and explain the process behind putting the whole lesson plan together, that would have been fine. But then the candidate himself showed up. It was a CELTA plan because you could tell he used the same frame. He also left the TP number in there. And when we delved into the lesson plan, asked him about the sequencing of the stage, he couldn't justify what he did on the lesson plan. So for us, then he failed the interview. And we never asked whether he did CELTA online or on campus, face to face.
Right.
There's a lot to be said for that. Sorry, there's a lot to be said for that, Anas, because as long as the assessment method these days is appropriate, so that somebody's actually done the work. If you're going to write about a lesson plan, you've got to be able to deliver it, and if they can't deliver it, then they shouldn't pass. So it all becomes part of the assessment model, not the qualification as such. You can have CELTA and you completely do it online, but it's like you said, there's no practical involvement, so that it all comes down to the assessment.
Yep.
Right, absolutely. And that brings me to a discussion we were having earlier, and I've seen that discussion on our Facebook page as well, which I would want to share, that somebody said, I've done a CELTA, I've tried a couple of jobs, and I didn't get any. And somebody here wrote that it has you need to have a certificate, but along with that, you need to internalize it, and it's your personality as well, and it's a whole package. And I think then somebody else here said that you need to what Keith just said, and I repeated, and I would want to repeat it again, that you need to internalize the whole thing. So what do you guys have to say to it? And this is a question for the graduates who are working around the globe.
May I, Harim?
Of course, Salima, please.
So first, I'd like to summarize the discussion happening earlier. I did my CELTA, and now I'm doing my Delta on top of it. And it's both. I got the opportunity to experience it in two ways. So nowhere on your certificate, when you get the KEMRIT certificate, nowhere it says the mode. Like if you did it online or if you did it face to face, you just get one CELTA or Delta certificate saying that you are now, a CELTA certified or Delta certified candidate. Now, going back to internalization, even though I'm now doing my Delta, I still find myself falling into the bad habits, old habits. And I keep coming to Sandy because I'm glad to have the opportunity to work with her. And I'm one of her, flower amongst all, she's planting. I keep coming back to her and sharing my apprehensions and fear that, oh my God, I forgot to do this stage in my class. Oh my God, I should have done this, but I did not. So, and she keeps reassuring that, we have a habit of falling back into our old habits. So, and especially if you have been teaching for such a long time and you have been practicing teaching in a certain way, of course, it takes a while. So just, I would say just be patient.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, so thank you, thank you. That was
Want
very
to add
insightful, and
one
that
thing?
is so true, what you've just said. And so I would like to take a few more answers on this. So anybody, Faiz?
Can
Yeah,
I say
may
something?
I contribute?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think that CELTA, it doesn't guarantees a job. It doesn't guarantee a job, but it greatly improves your chances. So CELTA is basically the first step, and continuous skill building is crucial. For example, your job hunting skills, your interview skills, the way you present yourself, and like everyone says, to internalize your CELTA basically. And after completing my CELTA, for instance, myself, I secured a teaching position in Saudi Arabia. So it opened international opportunities for me and it helped me transform my teaching career. And just saying that does CELTA guarantees a job, it's just like asking that if you have a master's degree, does it guarantee a job? Of course, it could be the first step, but of course, you need to do a lot after that as well.
Yes, thank you for that.
I
So
think
yes,
I would like to just add the same thing, actually. Hello, everyone. I was a little bit late to this meeting. Anyway, so
and this is Wasim Khan, and he's based in Saudi Arabia at the moment, and he's one of our very sweet graduates, young, sweet graduates. Yes.
well, I was young back when I did my CELTA. I was in
Oh,
2019.
you're still young.
Um, yeah. So, okay. So when I did my CELTA, what I immediately noticed was how I started seeing textbooks differently. And I mean, that doesn't get talked about much because suddenly I could tell why the book was designed the way it was, why the exercises were sequenced the way they were. And it's not just about getting a job or not getting a job. It's having a new perspective, and that's what I got from. Of course, I did get a job after my CELTA. I mean, I came to Saudi Arabia and I was able to land a job, which was all sweet and good. But then also my teaching practice and the way I planned lessons and how I looked at books also transformed. I knew, why was it as such that we did not immediately tell the students what the grammar point was, guided discovery and all, which I struggled to learn when I was in my CELTA, but ended up doing it anyway. So I think yes, it does boil down at the end. Having CELTA is great and everything, but you have to be a complete package, as it being said right now. You have to be a package. You have to present yourself in such a way that you seem like a person people would want to employ by your skills, by the way you present yourself, and by the way talk. So all of these things at the end, these are the factors that get you your job. I think same thing, not a master's degree, not a PhD. I think nothing can actually guarantee you a job. The only thing that could guarantee you a job is you being your absolute best and, then taking your chances. So that's my input in all
Thank
of this.
you. Thank you for that. So going a bit back again, there's a lot of hesitation around the online and blended CELTAs. And as tutors, I would like to ask the tutors here that have you seen any difference in the performance of candidates who took online CELTA versus people who've done face-to-face CELTA? And do you think that if you did a blended course, that would help because you get a chance to experience both face-to-face and online? Bjarne?
Yes. Well, in fact, that's an interesting question because you know all what happened in 2017. We had the pandemic happening, and very quickly we had to take the CELTA course online. Um, and I remember already after the first CELTA course we did online, fully online, looking at my colleague and saying, "Wow, it works!" Because I was a bit skeptical, like so many, but I was quite surprised that the final product, the balanced teacher who can clarify language and react to students, came out the same way. And I've also looked into statistics. And there's no statistical evidence that people do better on one or the other course. However, I like working with people, and I think 99% of teachers, they like working with people. If not, they're doing the wrong profession. And of course, I like meeting people in person, and trainees like to meet each other. And this is one of the coolest thing about the blended. Not to forget the students, but it is working with people online for 2 to 3 weeks, and then they meet each other. And it's a great, great experience to see these peers meeting up and in a space and saying hello to each other. Very emotional, actually. But I think doing both doing both through the blended version, one thing really adds to the other, because when you do the online, you learn some things that are really important, and that's using the online tools, using tools to make it possible for students to work in groups, to produce written work, and you can monitor the written work. You can use word wall and all of these fancy things. But then at the same time, when you get to the online part, you get to monitor students, in real life, looking over their shoulder a little bit, see what they're producing, and being able to see how they work between them in the dynamics of the course. So I think one thing adds to the other. And I think we need to learn a little bit about those online tools as well, because that means that you're prepared for both worlds. And if you can't use the online tools, but you're teaching online, but you're not using the tools that are there, then a colleague of mine, she said to me, "Well, if you're teaching online and you're not using the tools, you're not really an online teacher. You're a long distance teacher." Right. And I think putting those two together is really advantageous.
Sandy, would you like to add on to it? You're mute.
I think that when you're teaching face-to-face is a completely different dynamic, especially if you're a tactile person, for example, like I am. You want to touch, you want to get in there, you want to help people out. And the candidates themselves, the trainees, they want to reach out to each other as well, and they want to have that tactile connection with you. But online, some people, when they're online, can disconnect. Other people prefer it because they're in their own little space. They can work on their own. They can go into groups when they want to, but they have that autonomy in some ways. But I think for a lot of programs, if you're going to do purely online course, there needs to be the synchronous and asynchronous components. If it's only asynchronous, where you have your tutor, you're teaching, you get feedback, you teach again, and all of your work is on Moodle, I think that for some people that doesn't work because they're not as independent as others. But then some people really prefer to work on their own, do all the research, try and apply it themselves, get the feedback. So I think now there are courses for everybody. You can find an online course that it is all asynchronous with the exception of the teaching practice. You can find some courses that have some sessions are with a tutor online like this, others are asynchronous. So they want you to do the reading, come prepared to discuss it. Others are blended where you do 50-50. Sometimes they do a week at the beginning, a week at the end, and 2 weeks in between is online. And there's other courses where it's all face-to-face. And every course is different. I've taught on courses where people say, "Oh, what I really needed was a 5-week course, not a 4-week course." So the intensity of courses can also either help or hinder somebody. It just really depends on the person and what works best for their personality.
Thank you. So moving on, because we like Biyani talked about the first course that we just had to move to online. So we have some people here, Muhammad Umar, and he's working in the UK, and we have Muhammad Esen, and both of them were on the course that they had to do online. They applied face to face, and then they had to do online because, well, COVID happened. So what do you guys think? Do you think that um because at the beginning, like everybody was apprehensive that online course might not prepare you for real classroom dynamics. So what's your take on that? Because both of you are now doing face-to-face jobs where you teach face-to-face in the UK and Pakistan. So what's it like over there? And how do you feel about doing the course online and then doing a job that's face to face?
I'll
Hello,
start.
everyone. Firstly, thank you for. You want to go first, or?
Hello, Omar. You can go first.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you everyone for having me. And firstly, I would like to address the myth one. So, talking from a Pakistani perspective, the myth that the students have mostly is, will they be getting the money's worth if they're doing it online instead of face to face? So, I would like to say that they get the full package, they get the full experience, and if they're worried about that it's going to be a dull experience and they won't be getting their money's worth, that's not at all the case. And in my personal opinion, as Beyond said, if you're doing it online, you learn the online tools, for example, making rooms, etc., etc., and you're better equipped to teach online. So if you're doing in my personal opinion, if you're doing a course online, you are able to teach online as well as face to face. But you cannot say the same if you're doing it face to face because you're not able to use the tools as much. And it's a digital world. So in what I wanted to do with my CELTA was I wanted to teach from the comfort of my home all across the globe so I can make money online from different currencies, as many of the people that want to do CELTA here want to do as well. And so if you're sitting in Pakistan, you want to teach in, for example, Malaysia or any of those countries, I think doing an online would better equip you to do it. And doing a blended course, having the best of both worlds, I think that would be the perfect thing. On to Asana, I think you could add something.
Thank
So I
you.
would actually second Umar over here because like when I started off my job and I started teaching students face to face, I was better equipped to use digital technology compared to my colleagues. But also I would just like to add here, it's not about how you did it, whether you did it online or whether you did it face to face. It's all about how reflective you are, and it's all about if you're able to justify what you just did in the classroom. Then only you're a better teacher. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you so much, Essen. So moving on, we've talked about
Harim, can I add something?
of course.
I agree with Asan that that we are living in a digi world. That reminded me of an incident that when I went for my interview, they didn't say that whether your CELTA is online or is part time or whatever or face to face. They just asked that how equipped you are because we work in a digi world and our system is mostly digitalized. So are you good in digital technology? And that time, then I informed them that my center was part time and I am very well informed about the tools and how to use the digital technology and all. Because now I'm working with the GEMS cluster, like it's a very well known organization system over here in education. It's almost like 90% of their teaching scheme of work and everything is all digital. So I feel like while doing the online CELTA part, like part time online CELTA, it really helped me to get along with the times which we are going to face right now, because right now everything is becoming online. No matter whether you are going into the class, like I agree with Sandy over here that you go, you roam around, you interact with students, you build connections as well with your student, but along the side you need see like blended version is kind of thing which is happening right now, soon moving towards totally online world. So I think that online CELTA, like it's my personal opinion, everyone can disagree as well, that I think that part-time one is far better, because now they ask you that how good and well equipped you are in your digital literacy when you are appearing in an interview. Because this is the question which, like, everyone may have the good experience of earning the job after CELTA. It took me 3 months to secure a job, and then I landed into the GEMS cluster. So the thing is that they all are asking the same thing, how good you are in digital literacy and your scheme of work, these kind of thing, and teaching, they come later as well, because you know in UAE the whole world is shifting, like whole education shifting towards AI, digital literacy, and these kind of little tools over there. So I think that these all things and these factors, they all help a lot, and CELTA is CELTA no matter whatever the mode is.
Thank you so much
Yeah, thanks.
for that. So Christina, Gerald, you've been teaching for a while, and you've also been assessing the courses. We do have a question about okay, so we do have a question how long the CELTA takes. It's a 4-week course, standard intensive, but can be part-time. Just quickly clarifying. So moving on to that part, how have you felt like people, how do they transform in a course of 4 weeks? Because a lot of people think about, okay, that's a lot of money for such a short course.
Well, the transformation, regardless of whether it's online or face-to-face, is pretty dramatic. It doesn't matter. As that point in week 3 of a full-time course, where people start to make real changes and get to grips with their demons as far as habits are concerned. So I don't see much difference there. With your permission, I'd like to fill a few gaps in this mosaic we've created.
Sure.
Teachers, when they get out of their course, whether it was blended or online or whatever, they talk and they compare their courses, their experiences, and so on. The ones who are more into face-to-face or wish they had done it are the people, the ones who want the more direct contact with people, and less of the kind of switch the screen off and that's it kind of approach to the rather cold online environment. It's perfect for some people. I think one gap I'd like to fill is the reality of the students. A lot of them are learning English for exams. Now you can figure out the statistics here. I don't have them for you or anybody else, but a high percentage of the exams are still very old-fashioned. They are beginning to become online. They're beginning to. But are we really catering for these realities with students if we only do face-to-face or only do online? Especially with regard to writing. And I know a lot of online courses that just abandon writing completely. Whoops. So that's not ideal. What else have I got here? How long should a course be? I think generally speaking, they're too fast and too intensive. We pride ourselves that these are very intense learning experiences. You don't sleep much, etc. I think it would be a lot better if the courses were longer, personally. But the reality is that people only have 4 weeks holiday. They can only spare a certain amount of time for courses. The online course is far more flexible because it can be evenings, it can be weekends as well, and so on.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, that's it for now.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have somebody asking about, apart from Gulf, any career opportunities in the UK, and that would be a question for Umar and Keith and Gerald. So what's it like in the UK when we talk about career opportunities after the CELTA?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah. Well, there's a minute silence to Britain in the sense that it's become a very difficult place to work. I mean, we've eliminated Europeans, more or less, and it's just a very hard. It's a hard place to work, but also it's a seasonal place. The students come with the decent weather. Perhaps somebody should tell them that our weather is getting better and better, by the way. But so it's the summer thing. We get really busy in the summer, and then it all drops off again in the autumn and winter. Of course, it's virtually dead. So I live in Bournemouth. You can walk from one end of Bournemouth to the other without seeing a single student in the winter, and that says a lot about job opportunities.
Right. Umar?
Yeah, so from a student's perspective, I came from Pakistan, and by the way, I love the weather here in Portsmouth. I reside in Portsmouth. I've been to Bournemouth a lot, and it's a big change, even if you go to Southampton. So we have like a microclimate. So I love the weather here. But secondly, I would say there's been an influx of a lot of international students, asylum seekers, and so there's more opportunity for teachers to teach them. There's a lot of language schools, and as Gerald says, the main influx is in the summer. So mostly the courses, the English courses, the more work comes in the summer. But there is work. If you're equipped to do it, I think there is work. And if you look for it, I personally came as a student with my CELTA, and believe me, it helped me a lot. I was able to find work after just a couple of months, and now I am in contract with two different institutions, and I teach almost every week. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Keith, what do you have to say to this?
I think the reality of the situation is something Gerald alluded to there again. It is very much seasonal. It's been seasonal for as many years as I can remember. I mean, I've been teaching a lot longer than most people on this call have been on the planet, and it's not changed in any sense. But the reality of the situation is AI will take over what we are doing. We have to move into that environment, whether it's blended now and AI in the future. But for courses such as this, for courses such as teaching, in whatever capacity teaching is, whether it's teaching English, the general teaching, there still has to be some observation of somebody being able to do it. That's where the CELTA stands up above everything else. But to say the job opportunities, coming back to it, it isn't good in the UK at the moment. There are opportunities coming now, but I'm not going to get too political in understanding or determining why that may be. But it's the amount of immigration that's happening in the UK at the moment, where people will have to be able to communicate in English. So there are opportunities, but they tend to be seasonal, and they tend to be around the large cities such as London, Manchester,
Right.
mainly London, I would guess.
Right. Thank you so much. And all the answers align quite a lot. A lot of immigration means a lot of people wanting to learn English, and then a lot of seasonal, especially recruitment going on. So because we're talking about recruitment and we have people from different parts of the world, I would want to ask Mariam what it's like in Japan, and would CELTA get you a job in Japan?
Thank you very much, Harim, for giving me a chance to see like-minded people. Gerald, hello, my tutor. It's very nice to see you. So I came to Japan first time as a student back in 2022. And at that time, I wanted to work in Japan, and I started looking for the job opportunities. And I realized that almost every second job said that basic requirement is you should have CELTA certification. At that time, I decided that I'll go back to Pakistan and I will get this certification first, because I wanted to come back to Japan. And then I met Harim and Gerald. I was very happy to get this certification. And then I started looking for the opportunities in Japan. Though, yeah, in 2024, I came as an ALT, assistant language teacher, and I was hired by a Japanese company. And not only me, a lot of other Pakistanis were also hired. But then again, when you are in Japan and you want to switch your job, because I didn't want to be an ALT, I didn't want to be an assistant language teacher. It was just a path to come to Japan. It was just a way to come back here again. And then recently I got a job, and now I'm in Hiroshima. It's YMCA. It's worldwide organization, and UK based. So all the people who are from UK, they must know about it. So among all candidates, I was the one who got this job because I was CELTA certified, while the rest maybe they didn't have this certification. And then I would like to add this thing also, like apart from certification, I'm talking only in terms of Japanese environment and Japan, that being culturally aware is also a thing. When a recruiter in Japan wants to hire for Japanese public schools or cram schools or eikaiwa, it's called over here, they also look at the candidate that whether they are able to adapt to the environment that is specifically Japanese environment. And it's very unique. It's very different from the culture, from where we belong, or the rest of the world, I think. So, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. This is not...
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and adding value to the session.
Sorry,
but because we have so many people and we want to add more experiences here, I also want to ask Hina what it's like in Kuwait, because she's running an institute, and what do you think it's like there, and would people prefer graduates who've done a CELTA course over those who have not done a CELTA course?
Hi, Harim. First of all, I'm enjoying a lot because I can see the people who are already CELTA qualified and have been in the field of teaching CELTA as well. So I appreciate your, effort to bring this, to have this platform for all of us to dialogue with each other. Okay, regarding Kuwait, I'll tell you whenever a CV comes. I'll start from the Ministry of Education actually. If you want to be hired as a teacher, especially as an English language teacher here, the first requirement they have is CELTA. After that, they have the master's and the bachelor's and everything. So whenever a CV is going to come to them, they're going to start the scrutiny from the CELTA part, not from the graduation. So CELTA plus the graduation and obviously the master's if you have, then you are qualified to apply for the Ministry of Education jobs. I have met a lot of the teachers. In fact, we have few teachers on our panel as well. And they are also the same. They're graduates, they're masters, they are CELTA qualified. But CELTA is actually mandatory there in Kuwait. It's not just something that hurts you, that's something you should have. Number two, if a CV comes to us as an institution, obviously, and we look for the teachers to teach for the English language, or even the teachers who are going to teach in the different kind of blended model, and for the short trainings and online courses. How we do this scrutiny? If I have a CV, I will explain a bachelor's and a master's with an experience, and then a bachelor's, master's, CELTA plus an experience. So obviously, I'll give more focus towards the one who is already CELTA qualified. Most of our students, because we are a distance learning center for the bachelor's and master's degree program, so most of our students are also, they are the teachers in the different bilingual schools. So they show a lot of interest actually that they want to be CELTA qualified because their heads, the head teacher or the head of departments, all of them, they have CELTA with them.
Right.
Regarding online and again blended model, I would say that it makes no difference as everyone is telling you, because if I'm not wrong, the certificate doesn't mention that. So the important thing is that do you know actually the techniques that you have learned in the CELTA? Can you apply them or not? Because if you're new to the international market, whenever you go for a job, they see your CV, but they put it on the side and they ask you the questions. And they start asking questions, and the questions they will come to know, okay, either it's a blended model or either it's an online model. Do you know the techniques or not? Do you know the tools that you've learned in CELTA or not? So it's a very good qualification, and this is why we are heading to offer that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And we have Hafsa here, and she can also, because she also did an online CELTA as well. And we're not particularly talking about online CELTA, we're talking about CELTA in general for job prospects. But because there are a lot of queries about the mode as well, so I keep coming back to it. So Hafsa, how is your experience of finding a job in the in Saudi Arabia, and what do you have to say about the job prospects there?
Hello, hi to everyone. So yes, I would like to say when I came back after doing CELTA, I gave demonstrations in 3 different schools. So before that, it used to be the case that I used to get selected in one school, but this time I applied in 5 schools and I got the response from 5 different schools, and they were offering something really better. I mean, the better pay scale this time because I used to apply in those schools before that as well. So the thing was that it enhanced my pay scale. Even if you are working in a school and then you do CELTA, I think when you will show the certificate to them, whether it's online or it's face to face, as somebody said that the certificate is one, so it's from Cambridge. So if you will show your certificate to them, they're going to enhance 10% of your basic pay scale here in Saudi Arabia. So this is the case here, and just like if you are, for example, using all the methodologies that you have learned, you're applying everything, and you are so good, and your documents are verified from different ministries. So definitely, there is no. I mean, I wouldn't say that there is no prospect that you're not going to get the job here. You will definitely get. It's just that you have to verify all of your degrees, and follow the procedure. So inshallah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for that. That would answer part of Sima's question as well, that how she can go about it. And I know that she's been wanting to go to Saudi Arabia. So we have Amy from Sri Lanka, and she's a tutor as well. But I think she can shed some light on what it's like if you want to get a job in Sri Lanka as a CELTA qualified person.
Sure. Yeah. CELTA opens a lot of job opportunities in Sri Lanka, whether you want to teach adults, young learners, or even if you want to start up your own private institution. CELTA is actually quite highly regarded by employers, and it could, secure your teaching positions. There is always a demand in Sri Lanka, so you're quite lucky. Um, and while it's not strictly required, CELTA is highly recommended if you want to stand out in the job market. But there are specific institutes like the British Council or KDU where they might ask you to show your CELTA certificate. Previously at the British Council Sri Lanka, they usually would recruit candidates with a Pass B minimum, but now a pass would do. So they're taking on teachers who have the CELTA certificate, which is great news to everyone. There's one more thing that I would like to add. If you are actively applying for the job and you are constantly networking, you will expect to find job opportunities within a couple of months after completing your CELTA. As long as you're doing that, you'll find jobs much quicker than just, applying for the job. So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And Christina, what do you have to say about Lebanon?
Same. I mean, Lebanon, the Middle East. CELTA is supposed to be the certificate for English language teaching, but with the demise of CELTIL, the YL extension, and CELP and CELTES, most schools, even for teaching kids now they don't require, but they do view people with the CELTA as having an edge, as knowing how to teach, especially considering the how can I put this diplomatically enough? Considering the teaching diploma that comes from universities, compared to the practical aspect of the CELTA, which requires you to actually teach and be observed on your teaching. So CELTA is highly regarded. Is it the best thing for teaching schools? That's another kind of worm. We're not going into it, but it is. It is something that is required by a lot of schools to have the CELTA because of the name recognition, Cambridge.
Right. Thank you so much. And we've been, because we're in Pakistan, a lot of people ask about job opportunities in Pakistan. We have people working in different parts of the country, and we also have somebody who's working online from Pakistan. So Aline's working online with international organizations based in different parts of the world. So Aline and Laiba, before we go into the face-to-face jobs, can you talk about what kind of jobs do you have? Have you been working on based in Pakistan, but working with international organizations?
Okay, so I have been able to work with the UK, Polish institutions, Saudi Arabian. Currently, I'm working with Myanmar based international house. And personally, I think I was able to do that because of my CELTA. I had a passion for teaching, but I was able to learn, like I was able to teach and like let me rephrase, please. I was able to teach people from multiple backgrounds, diversities, and multiple issues only because of CELTA. And other than that, even in Pakistan, I was able to get multiple jobs as an assessor, as an examiner, as a tutor, because of my CELTA, and they did not question my teaching abilities. They did not question my assessment because they did see that I have a CELTA.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Laiba, what do you have to add to that?
Everyone. And first of all, when I wanted to do CELTA, I was really confused because I graduated and I had the degree of English language teaching and linguistics. So I had the same question that whether I should go for CELTA or not. But I am really glad that I took this opportunity because CELTA is completely different. It transformed your teaching. That previously I was teaching, but it wasn't what I used to. So I should do the type of teaching. So I would really recommend doing this CELTA first of all. Secondly, after CELTA, I got a lot of opportunities. Like I got the opportunity of interlocutorship with major organizations like PeopleCert and OET. So for this reason, it's like a door to opportunities for you. But again, it's something very basic that you should take it as something like a first step. You can do CELTA, but you need to improve yourself on like continuously. You need to add your or you need to polish your skills so that you keep on learning and keep on adding in your profile. So
Thank
I
you.
would say CELTA is again a door to opportunities.
Right. Thank you so much. So, Munir and Faiz, what do you have to say about the job landscape in the country?
Thank you so much, Hareem, for inviting. And I think I had a similar contention going on in my mind while I was applying for CELTA, because I was at that point in time working with the school system as the English lead. And when I did complete my CELTA, of course, I did get some benefits, pay-wise as well as promotion-wise. So really did help. But apart from that, I did have my B.Ed and an M.Ed, MPhil, in fact, not MEd, MPhil in education. And my specialization was also in language teaching, English language teaching. But when I did my CELTA, I think it opened my eyes and it taught me really different way of teaching language. So what I had learned in my bachelor's in education and MPhil in education was completely basic and different from what I had learned in CELTA. So it did help me a lot. And based on that, I did get an opportunity to develop the course for English language teaching in Aga Khan University, and they hired me as a consultant, basically to develop that course. And not just that, but also to help them with the practicums course, because again, taking inspiration from the CELTA teaching practicums, I was able to give them some insights as to how they could improve their bachelor's in education practicums course. So, that sort of really boosted my career. And today I am currently working as a full-time employee with Aga Khan University in their teaching and learning department, supporting their faculty, not just for English, but other subjects as well. So
Thank you.
CELTA did
Yeah.
give me a boost in the career.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and your
So,
success story. What about you, Faiz?
well, before CELTA, I was doing a teaching job. I was a teacher previously, but then I did CELTA, and it completely changes everything. I'm in the same organization working right now that I've been working for last 7 years, but now I'm the head of Cambridge O&E levels and working with teachers. And now my colleagues are my subordinates, what I can say more. So it's more important to make yourself, it's more important to make CELTA a part of yourself and your personality rather than becoming a part of the CELTA. That's the difference that the candidates need to understand. It's not important that you're becoming a part of a course, but that's more important if you are making the course a part of your personality. That tells you what's to teach, how to teach, obviously, but we need to see the bigger perspective. It's a game of perspectives because we are somehow motivated by more internal and external motivations like the pay, the job, and everything else. But the more important is that how it transforms you as a teacher when you stand in the class. So, for example, there are people in Pakistan who have certain skills, set of skills for teaching. For example, 2 weeks ago, I met this teacher. I observed her class in some institute. She was doing great. She's teaching something like that. I realized I had to ask her if she has done CELTA. She said no. Now that's the point. People do have skills, but CELTA certifies that those skills that yes, now as a CELTA certified, those skills are assessed and you're all ready to go to into the job market. So that's what people need to understand. When in Pakistan, I was working as a teacher. Now I'm ahead. I have a team of teachers working with me. With that, I'm also leading a training department in Hyderabad. Like I'm the POC person of contact for that department. We have different courses designed. I'm designing the courses with the head office team. We design different courses like informed teaching and learning, informed leadership for academic success. We design those courses. We conduct those courses, and that's all happened right after CELTA, not before
Right.
that. So
Thank
I'm one of the
you.
examples.
Thank you.
Thank you,
One
Reem.
question that keeps coming up is, and I would personally want to add an answer to this, and I would like a confirmation from our panelists if they agree, is that I've done a TEFL. I can do an online TEFL, and I don't know, $35. I've done TESOL, and I've done a master's in ELT, and so on and so forth. So do I really have to do a CELTA? And a lot of times, my answer is you don't really have a practical component in your degree. And the practical component that you do have is when you're teaching your peers and you're micro teaching your peers. And that's so different from teaching actual English language learners. So when somebody says that I have a CELTA, he's saying to their recruiters and employers that I have taught real English language learners, and somebody who has been trained to observe and assess me by Cambridge has observed me, assessed me, and has considered me up to par with international standards, and has said that they certify me and Cambridge certifies me that I can teach in an international market and I'm capable of teaching English language learners. And I say the same thing to people who come in and say, well, I have a 10 years and a 20 years teaching experience here. And when I go to the Gulf or I go to the UK and so on, doesn't my experience speak for itself? No, because I don't know if you've been teaching in the backyard school, or if you were teaching at a university with some standard, or you were teaching with a rundown university. And the recruiter who has like 100 or 1,000 applications does not have the time to look at your application and go online and search, okay, so you've been teaching in X institute in Y country. So what's it like? What's the institute's ranking? And especially people who are working in Pakistan. So, you know, we don't have a university in the top hundreds. We don't. It's a fact. So when you say you have a CELTA, then the employer immediately knows that, okay, so you've taught and you probably know how to teach and reflect on your teaching, and you have the kind of teaching skills that they're looking at because you've been certified that you have those skills. So is that correct, Sandy, Keith, Anis, Christina?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
100%
Go for it.
Yeah, so
100%
when
correct.
I'm interviewing people, we get a stack at the university looking for people who want to work here. And our department, because we're Foundation English, we don't require a PhD, although we have folks. We don't require a PhD. We require a master's. Then, of course, as you say, I have no idea who watched them. And people will say, oh, no, I did my practicum. Well, who watched you? Was somebody qualified to watch you, or was it another teacher who gave you feedback? Not that they're not qualified, but you want somebody who is watching you, giving you constructive feedback to help you grow as a teacher, finding those things that will make you the best that you can be. Because we don't want mini-me's. We want people to be the best that they can be as an instructor. So if somebody has a master's and a TESL, I'm like, I don't know what the TESL is. I don't know what that means. I've taught on TESLs. I don't know what they did. Some TESLs don't have any practicum, or they teach online to their friends. And then I've got a CELTA. Anytime I have CELTAs, I can have 50 resumes. The first 5 in my group have their master's and either their Delta or their CELTA. I look at those first. If I don't get what I want out of that, then I start looking a little deeper. But I will interview those people first. I will push them towards my academic manager to say, okay, these are the 5 that I recommend. They have their CELTA. I know what they've got. And even better, if I can look and see where they did their CELTA and say, oh my goodness, I know who their tutor is. So I know exactly what they have. So if it's Christina, if it's Gerald, I know exactly what they got on a course because I've worked with them. So the CELTA community is also fairly small. I don't know if Bjorn, if you will agree with that, but once you meet people here, even if you assess somebody or you go to an online workshop, you get some feel for how they teach, you get some feel for the kind of information, and we all have to be trained. All trainers have to be trained, and they have to have someone like me come in and watch them as they go through the whole course and look at their entire portfolio to make sure that they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. So we know what the tutors got because they have to train first as tutors, and then they have to work with a couple of tutors for 4 or 5 courses. I know what they've got.
They have to standardize every year to say that
Yes.
they're still at the same standard.
Yes, and they do it online. We also do, you have to have at least one face-to-face. And what makes a CELTA special is that there are still CELTA tutors that go in to standardize. So the tutors have to be standardized to each other. They have to be standardized to the standards set by Cambridge. And if it's not, everything gets sent in and somebody else looks at it. And that is one of the things that makes CELTA and the Delta so well, it's partly why they're more expensive because you're getting quality. If you don't want quality, don't pay for quality, basically. And while we know people are strapped, when I took my CELTA, I was rubbing my pennies together trying to get money to take the course. I understand, and a lot of schools are willing to give you sort of a payment plan because they want good candidates and they want people to be well trained.
Right.
So you also have to find a school that's not looking for a money grab. They're looking to actually support you.
Thank you so much. A quick word from Anas Bane.
Yeah, totally agree with what. So I can tell you what the current recruitment cycle I'm going through. We received 208 CVs. Only 21 people were shortlisted, and those were the people who had CELTA or Delta. We excluded people with PhDs who didn't have one of either of these qualifications. Another thing is with MAT SOLs, I know this about the UK. I don't know if it's changed since 2011. I did a master's degree in applied linguistics, and I had some of the people I know who did also MA and TESOL that didn't have any practicum. So in my institution where I work, 2 years ago, we got accredited and all transcripts were looked at. So even though that CELTA is not a requirement in my institution, people who didn't have any practicum were asked, they had to go and do CELTA in order for the whole institution and department to be accredited. So that's something also now as recruiters we're looking at, because we don't want to go into that issue again of having to ask teachers we employ then go and do CELTA. No, we want people who have CELTA so they don't, with the department as a whole doesn't have any issues with the accreditation processes.
Yeah, and we have so many people coming in. Sorry. So many people coming in from Oman and from Saudi who've been teaching for years, like 10, 20 years, and they want their contract renewals and they say, okay, I need a CELTA because, well, my contract renewal depends on it. So yes. Anyone who would like to add into this? And
well, I would just like to add one thing. I know that a lot of people are doing the CELTA because it will definitely increase your job opportunities and also a possibility to earn more than we are earning at the moment. But I really like to emphasize, and I know it's kind of obvious, but the most important thing or reason for doing the CELTA is that you improve your ability to teach. You improve your ability to give your students quality for time. The time they spend with you makes them learn better and learn faster. So it's that impact that the CELTA will have on your teaching. It's the impact it will have on you feeling confident that you are giving your students the best you can. And so that you walk away from your class saying, well, I really did good for that person, right? And now that person is better at doing this in English than they were before. And of course, that also is a way to aggregate wealth to your own persona as a teacher, because those students are going to stay with you. They're going to re-enroll and they're going to talk about your classes. And that is a real, I guess, a real benefit of the CELTA is that your students get a better you.
Thank you so much for that. Two quick things. One, a couple of people are asking about doing a CELTA from IHP. So, Bane, could you please let us know how we're working with TLS to offer the CELTA courses in Pakistan?
Yes.
And how legitimate is that?
Right. Well, Target Language Center is an accredited CELTA center, and you can go on to the Cambridge site and you can look up the code for us as a center. And I'm going to put that in the chat. So you can look up BR641, and that means that we are an accredited CELTA center. And the way we are working with Harim is that Harim School is the physical venue, and Harim is, I know, a very capable teacher. So adding value in two ways, having the physical space and having a great professional to join us in giving the CELTA course. The course starts like this. The first 3 months, or 3 months, that would be nice, 3 weeks, you are going to be online with target languages instructors, myself, and colleagues. We're going to have online teaching practice. We're going to have real-time input and also input on the Moodle platform that you can do in your own time. So the work you do online on the Moodle platform, you can do at any time of day you like. You can do it on a Sunday morning or a Tuesday afternoon. You just have to do the prescribed units within the week that we set you. And you also have live sessions with me where I give you input on aspects of teaching, of course. And so there are plenty of opportunities to ask directly, oh, I did this on the platform, I didn't quite understand. Da, 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 da. So you have that constant contact, plus the teaching practice, right? And the teaching practice is given on Zoom during the online part, and you are going to get feedback on your teaching after the class is finished. And then the last week, the course continues with Harim face-to-face in real time, of course, in Lahore.
Thank you for the clarification. Also, I want to add here, and somebody was asking about CELTA being global and all that. There's just one CELTA in the world, no matter where you do it from. It has to be from Cambridge, and the certification is from Cambridge. What you've probably seen is about the teaching practices. So you do a CELTA because you want to teach globally, and you want to teach international students. So when you're working with IHP, we make sure that the teaching practice students that you get are not just localized teaching practice students. You get students from different parts of the world. And so you experience what it's like to teach an international student, a person whose first language is not the same as your first language. And how are you going to connect with that person? And how are you going to teach that person? And it's a whole different story. Also, when you apply to different institutes around the world, a lot of times they ask you, what nationalities have you taught? And, the reason is they want to see if you're capable of, or have you had any experience of teaching people who are not just, who do not share your nationality and who are from different parts of the world. So when you do a CELTA in an institute where they have TP students coming in from different parts of the world, it's an added benefit. You get to experience in real time what it's like to teach foreigners. And B, you can write in your resume, you can write in your portfolio, you can write in your job applications that yes, you have the teaching experience of teaching these XYZ nationalities, and you know what it's like to teach a real multilingual class. So that's what we were emphasizing on when we talked about CELTA being global and all that. So yes, so I think we've answered most of the questions. We're almost at the end of our time as well. I am sorry, I did not give a lot of time to all the panelists because we wanted to share as many experiences as possible in a short amount of time, aiming to not only say, okay, so we're talking to one person who's working in this one part of the world and he's benefited from it. So we wanted to take different perspectives. We wanted to see what it's like to do a CELTA and how it is different for people who are tutors. What do they have to say for it? What recruiters have to say for it? What graduates have gone through once they've done the course. And so I want to thank every single one of you for your contributions and joining us here today. Any last words before we leave? Yes, Anas.
Yeah, I can also add. Yeah, you did say that when you teach CELTA online, you get to teach students from different linguistic background, but you also get to be exposed to tutors from around the world. If you are not in Qatar, for example, how are you going to get Sandy to observe you and give you detailed feedback? And I'm sure everyone else who is a CELTA tutor that is a person that we can learn from.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, Mariam Khalid.
I would really appreciate when you said that at your institute, the students will get the chance to have the students from all over the world, because that's very different when you teach the students who are only Pakistani and when you teach the students, for example, in my case, who are Japanese. So yeah. That will be very nice for the aspirants who want to do CELTA.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. And again, thank you so much for your contributions. And
one thing, Harim, I would like to add here.
Yes.
I can see the chat. There are so many people who are really afraid of like the course. So there is no need to be afraid. Yes, people always can pass CELTA. It's not something that we can't do. People from Earth, yes, we do that. And it's like if we see the only people who can make themselves a bigger part of the course, yes, there is more unlearning process involved. So that is a bit scary for people only. So those who are misguiding you that it's difficult or people like us can't do that, it's not like this. There are people who have like worked with Harim. I have worked with her and I scored a pass A in CELTA from Pakistan, obviously. So that's something all of you can do also.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And please feel free to contact us. When you contact IHP, you only get to talk to people who are tutors. We don't not just anybody is going to talk to you and speak to you about the course and so on and so forth. We make sure that whoever gets in touch with you, whoever gets in contact with you, whoever interviews you is an actual CELTA tutor. So knows what it's like, and he or she has been in your shoes and can, empathize with you better. And so can also talk about whatever your apprehensions are and, share an honest opinion and all of that. So please get in touch if you have any more queries. We see a lot of questions and please, you're going to see our contact details in the description, and please get in touch and or leave a message and somebody from our team is going to get back to you. A huge thank you to all our panelists for sharing such honest, powerful insights, and to everyone who joined us live. Remember, CELTA is an incredible foundation, but it's your passion, persistence, and professional development afterward that truly builds your teaching career. Stay connected with us at EdTalks, and we'll see you at our next episode. Thank you so much, and good day.